then we're going to move over here and we're going to start on the Capellini.
Great.
Okay, so we're going to take 16 ounces of high gluten bread flour, and that's by weight, not volume.
Very important.
So scale it out, and we're just going to, every recipe, you see, you form your well. We're going to take a little bit of all-purpose flour.
Now, why do you use the different flours? What's the purpose?
So the all-purpose flour is just going to provide a little more structure, right? So it's just going to provide a little more structure. The high gluten flour is going to allow you to stretch it out.
Ah, okay.
Okay? So we're just going to form the well and just leave about a ½ an inch of flour at the bottom.
Okay, so don't take it all the way down to the board.
And then we're going to add our 9 egg yolks.
Wow, so this is going to be a really rich dough.
Very rich.
Nice.
And then 1 whole egg.
Okay. 9 egg yolks. Wow.
9 egg yolks. So we have 16 ounces of flour, high gluten bread flour. We have our all-purpose flour, 9 yolks, 1 whole egg.
And that's the most egg yolks I've ever seen on set before.
And we're going to put a pinch of salt. And then we're going to take about, so this is always going to fluctuate.
Okay.
The amount of water. I'm going to start off with about 3/4 of a cup. And make sure that you ice the water down.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just going to add that into the well. And you can always add a little more.
But you can't take it out.
You can't take it out.
Now, what's the purpose of using ice water? Why do you
So
want
it's
it
just
cold?
gonna, so if you use room temperature water, what's gonna happen is the dough is gonna get really soft, right?
Oh, okay.
So the cold water is just gonna tighten the pasta up.
That's a great tip.
All right, so we're just gonna move this up around.
Now, do you always do this by hand at the restaurant?
Oh no. We use the KitchenAid mixer and we put it in, use the paddle, and that works just as well.
It does.
Right? This is a little more interesting.
This is more
right?
fun for
This is
television.
kind of grandma's way of doing
Totally.
the pasta, right?
Did your grandma make pasta?
Never, never. Chicken and dumplings, that's about it, but
Well,
never fresh
we'll
pasta.
make that on the next show.
Yeah, sounds good.
Pasta is technically a dumpling, kind of.
It is,
right?
it is.
Same family.
Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna slowly incorporate the flour.
So you need to take your time when doing this.
Yep, just slowly incorporate it.
It's like a pasta volcano.
And then just as that happens, just move the flour around.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're just going to incorporate the rest of the flour. Now you can, this is where it gets a little bit
Messy?
messy. Yeah, and we're just gonna gently incorporate that.
Okay.
And now so what happens when you buy high gluten bread flour at the grocery store, there's always gonna be a certain amount of moisture to it, right? So it's not gonna be ever wet, but that's gonna determine how much water you add.
All right.
That's
It's
always
that-
gonna, and if you have it sitting out for a while, and it's a humid day, that's going to affect the result of the pasta.
Is that just
So
for the high gluten bread flour, or does that apply to all flours?
that applies to all flours.
okay.
Pastry flour, cake flour, semolina, any of those. So, and then we're just going to bring this all together. All right, so this is all coming together.
So what are you looking for in the dough?
So this is going to be, I'm going to be adding, I think should be right there.
Okay.
It's just going to come together. We're going to add a little bit more water.
Okay, it's a little on the dry side.
Yep, a little bit more. I'm just going to drizzle that on the fingertips.
So you're really just working by feel.
Yep.
You want it to feel the right way. Nice.
And a little bit more. So we're just gonna, it's all coming together now, and
Okay.
all we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in that piece of plastic wrap there.
So this has to rest for a little bit, right?
Yep. So we're gonna just flatten this out.
Now what would happen if you tried to just roll it out now?
So it's gonna break apart a little bit, right? So the
Okay.
pasta's gonna break apart. By allowing it to rest, it's gonna soften up a little bit.
Do you refrigerate this? Leave it
So
at room temp?
we're gonna put it in the refrigerator for an hour or two.
Okay.
and
How
then
far
we're gonna-
advanced could you do that?
So you can do this a day ahead.
Perfect.
If you'd like. And we're going to put it right over here in the fridge.
And look at that.
And magic.
We have one that's already rested.
So now the second part of this is, so we let this go for about 2 hours.
Okay.
So we have the pasta ready to go. We're going to lightly dust the surface. So it doesn't matter if you use the all-purpose or the high gluten bread flour. You know,
All right,
whatever
for
you have
rolling
there.
out.
Yep, not really going to make a huge difference in
Okay.
the end product. So we're going to cut this in 4 so it's a little more, you know, easier to work with. You won't get such long pieces. If we were to roll that whole thing out, it would go probably across the whole table here. So
Which could be fun.
I guess if you have a table that long, by all means. So we're just gonna press this down a little bit, and if
Okay.
you feel the texture of that,
Oh, it's really pliable. There's not
right?
much give to it.
So it's
very different from the dough that you just stuck in the fridge.
yep.
A lot happened
And
in
that
those 2
yep.
hours.
Yep. Okay, so we are going to roll the pasta out here.
This is the fun part. Now there's different settings on here.
Correct. So obviously you want to start on the largest setting and work from there.
All right.
We're
Just
gonna
gradually work our way down.
Yep. So we're going to fold that over one time.
Now why did you fold it over like that? What
So
was the
you just
point?
want to work a little bit of the flour in,
Okay.
right, into the pasta, and we're going to dust it every single time we put it through the machine, because you don't want it to.
This is kind of
you don't want it
drying
to
out
stick.
the dough a little.
Yep.
Can you add too much flour?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. If you add too much flour, it's going to break apart. Right.
We don't want that.
You want it to stay pliable, soft.
Where'd you learn how to make pasta if it wasn't from your grandmother?
You know, culinary school.
Yeah.
25 years ago, whenever that was, a long time ago.
Well, I can
But-
see you've really honed the craft. And how thick or how thin do you
So
want
we're going to
it?
take it to number 3.
All right. And are these standard
They're standard, yep.
measurements? Okay.
All right. So at this point, we're going to change the,
So we'll put the cutter on.
yep,
Cool.
just even the ends out. Then what we're going to do, we'll cut it in half. All right.
More
Lightly dust it
flour.
again.
Now it's probably really important to add the flour at this stage because you don't want the individual strands to stick together.
Correct. So be a little bit more generous on this one because you're only rolling it one time.
Right.
And that's it.
And we're doing Capellini, correct?
Correct.
So we have some pretty thin pasta we're going for. This is so much fun.
All right. And then we're just going to roll that up. And then just dust with a little bit more flour.
A little more. Now, if you were doing this step in advance, would you dry the pasta out at this point, or would you refrigerate it or freeze it? What's the best way to do this in advance?
So I would, the best way obviously is to cook it from this point.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you can, if you take them just like this and lay them on parchment paper with a little flour, and then obviously wrap it in plastic wrap and put it in your freezer,
Perfect.
perfectly fine.
And then you cook it right from frozen?
Right from frozen.
Nice.
Yep. So there's a second part to this. We're going to strain all of these vegetables out.
Okay, so we're going
And
to use
then-
that liquid?
Correct.
Great.
So we're just going to strain all the veggies off here.
You can even tell just from the color of the liquid that it has some more flavor to it.
Yep.
From all that you put in there. And what are we going to do with the liquid?
So we're going to use a little bit for the sauce, and then we're going to cook the pasta in there.
Well, how do you like that?
So
Just
instead
flavor
of
on
using
flavor.
water, right, with a little bit of salt, we're going to have a little lobster flavor. So anything that you're going to add flavor, obviously the end result,
Yeah.
it's going to absorb all of those flavors.
So take all the chances you can get.
Yep. I'm going to drop the pasta. All right, so the pasta, look at that. See that?
That happens really fast.
Yep, it really does. Okay, so we're just going to strain the pasta off.
Perfect.
And we're not going to chill it down at all or rinse it. You want to have that pasta, have the sauce stick to the pasta.
So we want all that starch on there still.
And that is ready to go.